All right, welcome to the Harada Excellence Meeting. We have joining us today Brenton Leitch and Kyle Romaniuk. Brenton is from Adelaide, Australia, and has coached both businesses and individuals. He has also served as chair and judge for many business excellence awards. And this includes the Advanced Manufacturing and Business of the Year Awards. Brenton has designed and delivered a range of enterprise development programs such as fitness and focus for business improvement, visual business planning for SMEs, and implementing the plan and putting ideas into action. That is a mouthful, but that's exactly what we're trying to do here over the next little while. And Kyle Romaniuk, well, he has worked with organizations of all sizes, from startups to global brands like Red Bull, Scotiabank, Good Life Fitness, helping them move beyond the status quo. He is a disciplined practitioner who focuses on personal accountability, clear action, and continuous improvement using the Harada method and the OW64 system. With 30 years of experience, Kyle is a serial entrepreneur. You heard that right, serial entrepreneur. And strategic leader who has helped organizations build strong cultures and long-term growth. His perspective comes from serving as a founder, fractional CXO, board member, along with a commitment to community service, creativity, and purpose-driven leadership. So welcome, Kyle, and welcome, Brenton. We're going to get started today with the first question. You both work with people who want to improve, often quickly. Let's improve now. From your perspective, why is step one of the OW64 system, which is choose a meaningful goal, in this case, the name of it, why is it so important before anything else happens? Why do we need to choose a goal? Kyle, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Yeah, I guess with a lot of people that use Harada, especially for the first time, and fill out this OW64 chart, they haven't necessarily thought about their goals for themselves before. They've had goals imposed on them their whole life, whether it's from their parents or from work or from wherever. And this is an opportunity sometimes for the first time where they choose a meaningful goal for themselves. And it's not someone else's goal that's sort of being imposed on them.
Yeah, look, I see the same thing, George and Kyle. Look, I think this step sets the tone for everything else. I mean, in the classic, the now, where, how. What's my current situation? Where is it I'm trying to get to, and how am I going to get there? This is the where. So it's the framework that is in. This is the step one in that framework, and it's really what I'm trying to create. What's my current situations and now? As I say, the first steps in that process. The now, where am I trying to get? The how. And then how am I going to get there? So really, the goal, if the goal isn't meaningful to the person in developing their where is it I'm trying to get to, developing the how, which is the OH64 process, will lack the energy and the commitment, and on completion, the execution, I think, will be forced. So I think step one is the North Star. It's where the alignment and the vision is set, and sets the stage for the whole process, George.
Yeah, I really like that. Now, where, how. And it has to be simple. So that's great. The moment after the goal is shared, let's stay right there now. The goal is shared. The student shares their goal. There's often a pause. Kyle, what's actually happening in that moment for that student?
I think in most times the student isn't 100% confident in whatever goal they come up with. So the state of that goal that they've come up with, sometimes it's a little bit fragile. It's possible for them to feel like it's not solid or secure in their mind necessarily, or they're looking for buy-in from other people. And as a coach, for example, you could pause and just don't say anything, which creates a very uncomfortable moment for the student. And they want to fill up that gap of silence by saying something, right? But it's good to not be helping steer that goal or validate it or try to help push more clarity to it. It's just about being silent, creating that pause intentionally, and having the restraint to not say anything and let the student fill that gap of space. So they come and then you can actually get a sense of how they're feeling. by if they start being defensive or they start elaborating on it or talking about why it's so important to them, you'll understand their feelings, which I think is a lot more important than trying to help refine or push them on what that goal is at that time.
Yeah, wonderful. So step one, before they get to step two, let them sleep on it. Brenton, teachers and coaches are trained to help. Why is restraint such an important skill at step one for teachers and coaches?
Yeah, look, I think it's from my experience, George. It's if you're trying to help too early and be in there, it can often be interpreted as trying to control the situation. I think you touched on that a little earlier, actually, and starting to place boundaries on their free thinking. I think the student at the very beginning doesn't need to be micromanaged and being told what their goal is or being guided either overtly or covertly. They need that space to determine their own future. I think at that stage, I think the main thing is in that relationship for the student to not only hear but believe that the coach has trust in them to determine their own direction, and I think that trust allows belief in themselves to grow. And I think the other dimension to that is one of the very first parts of building their self-reliance. I mean, if they're feeling as though they're being guided too closely, the sense of self-reliance and creating their own future gets taken away from them.
Wow, self-reliance, what a key word. And maybe we never mentioned this, we won't mention it again or often, but by the book, the Harada Method, it's the spirit of self-reliance. Now, in the book, step one is believe in yourself. That's step one of the book, and it supports this OW64 system without changing it in any way. So really, how does this idea support it, Kyle?
Yeah, I guess when you're coming up with the goal and just the act of coming up with a goal is sort of the first act of sort of believing in yourself. Without actually performing that task of writing something down or thinking about it, you can't reach that sense of believing in yourself without doing things like that. Then the whole system of the OW64 and the Harada, it helps coaches sort of recognize and give feedback on that accomplishment of doing that and believing in yourself in that moment of doing that task, coming up with that goal. And the system also sort of helps you protect that as well.
Nice.
And then following on from that, George, I think Harada reminds us that the belief comes before the visualization of the future and developing that how to achieve it. I think the OpenWindow64 gives that belief a framework and a direction. In fact, I believe that the design of the OW64 has a timeless quality that aligns with how the brain visualizes the future and perceives the pathways towards success. It's like looking through the eight windows or perspectives towards achieving your goal, hence the Open Window. So my view is the OW64 chart and the goal in particular is central to the Harada method, and the two work best when we don't rush either. So again, I think it's taking time and particularly giving time for the student to find their feet and to find their vision, and also to let them, and you touched on it, let them reflect on that. So the pathways start forming up in their own mind towards their vision.
Yeah, wonderful. So brings us to one thing coaches shouldn't do. Like, what should coaches avoid? And what are the most common mistakes you see adults make right after the student completes step one? Brenton, what do you see?
Well, probably just following on from what I was saying, George, in terms of, I think if it's rush, I think there's the time required to let their goal and their vision for the future marinate and take form in their own mind. I think that's probably one of the things I would recommend. I think that the other mistake, which we've kind of touched on in a different way, but being aware of not trying to be too overbearing. and give space and give space to the students so that they can move forward and start defining their pathways. I think that's important. And the art of asking questions and asking the right questions is a really key skill for the coach when talking to the student. I think it's another aspect to it. But again, in summary, I think it's not creating too much pressure at that moment, giving time for that goal to start forming up in the student's mind, and really, again, highlighting that the student to feel as though that not only do they believe they can achieve that goal, but their coach believes that they believe, and they believe that they can achieve the goal too. And I think that's an important part to it. And it's not lip service. I think it's important that the student actually feels that this coach truly believes I can actually achieve this. And I think that gives them more fuel to fire them forward.
On that note, I think there's a lot of past experiences where I've seen people trying to motivate and trying to be encouraging by doing that, and leaving out the softer side, leaving out the emotional side of feeling like this person has my back, this person believes in me. And I remember one time someone said that they believed in me, and it really hit home in a way that I realized I maybe don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that to me before. And it was transformational in how much I wanted to do well for that person as well, right? So it ties into Harada and methodologies that relate to a lot of the things here, where you realize that, you know what, when I have something that I want to do for others, it can help motivate me in ways that if I'm doing it just for myself, it doesn't necessarily always pan out. So I think just having that ability to let people know, you know what, I believe in you, and also people that have experienced the Harada method and OW64 and have achieved amazing things with it, I think it's pretty easy for us to believe in almost anybody that we meet, that we believe they're capable of achieving whatever they want. The problem is most people haven't had these tools or had a coach that understood how to use them.
Yeah, and I just add one very small point to that, Kyle. I think it's spot on. And I think sometimes students don't realise how close they are to success. I think through, and Harada teaches through the routines and small step improvements, and just do one thing, just one small step towards the goal. But I don't think sometimes these young people realise just how close they are to achieving their goal by relatively, not small effort, I mean, there's obviously large effort, but simple things like just do what you say you're going to do. I mean, basic things, and I think it's their success is a lot closer than what they believe themselves.
Oh, that's excellent. So, Kyle, I believe in you. So that's I'm the second person to say that. Yeah, there's two people now. And look, Brenton, thank you so much for your support in this. This is excellent. So what we're doing now is we're covering all the things we can think of. And I want to say to teachers, coaches, if you don't know about the Socratic method, Google it. We got to start learning to ask questions. Now, the next question is going to be knowing when step one is complete. So how does a coach know that step one is complete, not just written down? How do they know, Kyle?
I think it comes from, again, using things like the pause and trying to understand how that student feels about the goal that they've come up with, and being able to tell that the student is comfortable with that goal. They feel like they believe in it, and they're kind of to what you said near the beginning of this, George, is like what's next, right? So I've got this now. Okay, what do I do next, right? Mm-hmm. So I think if you feel like the student is feeling that way, or saying things that are cues that gives you a sense that they're ready, they feel ownership to this goal, and they want to find out, like, where do I go next, coach?
Mm-hmm. And I've had the same experience, Kyle. I think that those students I just love working with is, look, so you can feel the energy that to achieve their goal, they've set their goal, and then it's, so what's the first thing I do, Brenton? Okay, well, you need to do this and this and this, and I've done that, what's next? I'm impressed. Okay, here's the next step, and here's the next way forward. Okay, Brent, I've done that. What's next? Okay, and now you've got me engaged, and I just love working with those students who start driving you as the coach. They're just the absolute joy, and they drive you to forward as much as you drive them. So it's absolutely that energy that's locked up, and you can feel it ready to be released once they've locked in on that goal and they feel supported. They feel as though that you as a coach, you believe that they can achieve it, and then the plane takes off.
Yeah, wonderful. Exactly. So step one's complete when the student feels like, hey, this is my goal. I'm excited. I'm taking a step and I'm going to share that with my coach and I'm getting great feedback. Now, look, I got shivers thinking about it. Now you've got them engaged. They're moving forward. I've seen this done with adults. So it's not just students. Adults do this too. You kind of coach them along. They start believing when they've been in a lull for the last 10 years. And all of a sudden, the world expands. How big is their world is my question. And I think you let them grow it to as big as they can dream. So the first part here is step one, choose a meaningful goal. Let them dream how big the world is going to be. Let them dream. The bigger, the better. Now, don't push them. Okay, so OW64 step one is about direction, not speed right now. Let's get the direction right, and we're going to work on a little bit of the language in step two. Belief doesn't need to be built. It needs to be protected. Okay, thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Brenton.
All the best.
Wonderful. Thank you.